Sheffield 57, the sponsor of this webcast, invites you to visit our re-envisioned condominium residences.
Good day, I'm Jennifer Malloy, and this is The Real Deal. The Federal Reserve made an emergency cut to interest rates amid a global market sell-off. Townhouse prices in Manhattan skyrocket despite fears of a recession. And Mayor Bloomberg calls for an extension of the property tax cut. That and more on this edition of The Real Deal webcast. But first, some highlights from this week's interview. Foreign buyers have been pouring money into New York real estate in recent years. Some speculate that they represent 20% of all buyers in Manhattan. But with fears of an international economic downturn, many are wondering how long can they continue to prop up the market here. Real Deal reporter Jen Benepe spoke to Patricia Warburg-Cliff, Senior Vice President and Director of European Sales at the Corcoran Group, to get her predictions on how foreign buyers are going to respond if the economy sours.
Some people have estimated anywhere from 10 to 30% of the New York City buyer's market is made up of foreigners. What do you think?
I think it's impossible to calculate, but as long as they can buy here at such discounted prices compared to their own economy, it's a bargain, and people love a bargain.
What if they don't have any cash left?
Foreigners tend to have a lot of money in the sock.
Where do you think the foreign buyers are coming from these days?
Everywhere.
Are there any surprise foreign groups coming to New York City market these days?
I think there's money starting to be made in Eastern Europe.
For the full interview, click on the link below. The Federal Reserve made an emergency interest rate cut of 0.75 of a percentage point last week after markets worldwide started selling off stocks. The cut was the largest single interest rate decrease since 1984 and was intended to stave off a U.S. recession. Along with cutting the key overnight interest rate to 3.5%, the Fed also cut the discount rate 75 basis points to 4%. Experts predict mortgage lending rate cuts could soon follow. The average sale price of a Manhattan townhouse jumped by more than 19% in 2007 to $5.2 million. While outer borough homes lost value, prices in Manhattan soared, according to new tax roll assessments. Brokers say townhouses do better than co-ops or condominiums when the market gets shaky. While the price increase was steep, it was lower than the 30% price increase that townhouses saw between 2005 and 2006. Mayor Bloomberg ordered across-the-board budget cuts, but said he would extend the 7% property tax cut and the $400 property tax rebate. Bloomberg also suggested financial counseling and subsidized loans for Americans in jeopardy of losing their homes because of subprime mortgages. During a trip to Washington, he rebuked lawmakers for failing to offer a real economic solution, but stopped short of backing a full government bailout for either borrowers or the mortgage industry. Marketer Michael Schwo is going global, starting with a hotel condo development on Mexico's Mayan Riviera. A marketing group launched the project's campaign at a glitzy Soho gala last Tuesday night. The $180 million project is slated to open in October 2009. The $1.3 to $10 million residences and villas are being built on an old Mexican presidential retreat that once hosted former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, and the band U2. A lawsuit filed by developer Sheldon Solo could put a wrinkle in Harry Maclow's attempts to sell the General Motors building. The suit alleges that the sale of the building to Maclow in 2003 was fraudulent. Maclow is scrambling to raise billions of dollars to pay off his short-term debt, which is due in just a few weeks. The New York Times reported that the suit could put a damper on bids for the GM building, which Maclow needs to raise capital. Calls are growing to downzone all of Carroll Gardens, the low-rise Brooklyn neighborhood lined with brownstones. Councilmember Bill de Blasio announced that the Department of City Planning has agreed to change an old zoning regulation that will restrict building heights and reclassify certain streets from wide to narrow. But the councilmember is now planning a rally to push for a downzoning of the entire neighborhood. Like father, like son. Donald Trump's 24-year-old protege Eric Trump doesn't buy an apartment from his father without a little haggling. The younger Trump told The Observer it was only natural that he would negotiate with his dad over the cost of the 3-bedroom apartment he purchased for $2 million at Trump Park East. Trump told the paper that, quote, "If I were to go into his office and not haggle, he would have thrown me out and not sold me the space." Developer Stephen Witkoff has pulled his bid to develop Pier 57, the New York Sun reported last week. Witkoff had planned to spend $400 million on building a bridge to the High Line, a marina, a museum, and a banquet hall. The project had been delayed because of Witkoff's business dealings with the former chairman of the Hudson River Park Trust, James Ortenzio, who is being investigated by the Manhattan District Attorney. Investigators found no evidence of wrongdoing by Witkoff, but his decision to quit the project could set the development back by 2 years. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Real Deal webcast. Remember to click on the link below for this week's interview. Please join us every week for the latest in real estate news. I'm Jennifer Malloy, and this is The Real Deal.